Okay, perfect. Cast running and everything. All right. What is going on, everybody? What is going on? Hope everyone's having a nice Saturday. It's been a kind of slow one for me, but, better than one that's not, terribly active or what have you. Interesting outcomes here recently. Very interesting outcomes. And I'm talking about the recent endorsements that Harris has received. Looks like she's had the IRS union support her. Yeah, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but the labor union that all of the IRS workers and employees are a part of is supporting Harris. And I keep repeating it. It keeps seems crazy to me. The IRS union of employees is backing Harris. So let's think about this. When the Inflation Reduction Act was passed, hey, Boston Joe, what's going on? When the Inflation Reduction Act was passed, one of the provisions in there was to create 87,000 brand new IRS jobs. Not overnight, right, but over time. And now their union is backing her in the campaign. And I'm just thinking about it like, okay, is it just to keep those 87,000 employees coming in? And so, if you look at the stats in 2022, massive amount of people, 78,000 employees. Now, today, they have 87,000 employees, oddly enough. At least that's the data that came back when I was doing my research here. Oh, no, sorry. Read the wrong number. 90,000 employees. I was like, wait, I thought it was a little more. 90,000 employees. IRS has 90,000 employees. What do all those employees do? Like, it boggles my mind. To put this into context, right? For folks out there that like to game, that, do whatever. The, like Electronic Arts, they do all the Madden games and what have you. They have 14,000 employees. All right. So to create a company that's massive, that creates these products like Madden and so forth, 14,000 employees. Activision Blizzard, 17,000 employees, right? If you think about it, right? Put this into context, 90,000 people, and their primary focus is the IRS, right? Nick says he almost got a job going to the IRS, ended up going to another company. I guess I'm not going to ask how much they pay, but I'm pretty sure that the salaries were pretty darn good too for the IRS agents. Like I think it's like a pretty good setup. That's right, 87,000 over 10. But the thing is, why is there so much incremental budget going to it? Elon Musk talks about government efficiency. I mean, you think about it; it's happening everywhere. It's happening across all major corporations. That AI automation is really replacing a lot of these manual activities. Like, why do we need 87,000 incremental employees for this agency? Let's focus on doing something a little bit more creatively, right? A little bit differently. The last one I'll say, NVIDIA, $1 trillion company, right? They hit $1 trillion when they maxed out their market cap. They've got 30,000 employees, right? So 30,000 employees to create all the hardware that's driving the AI revolution, right? 30,000 people to do that. Or you got today, as it currently stands, 90,000 people running the IRS. It really is just like crazy to me. Chris says, we need more IRS agents. We need clear tax law. IRS union. Yep. IRS union. It seems like a conflict of interest here. Toxic says, oh, interesting name, Toxic. That doesn't change the fact that Trump's winning the Electoral College. Kamala Harris is the lead popular candidate. Yeah, I think that's a valid point. Yep, I do agree. I'm with you on that. Corruption is what it sounds like. I still think, like, why focus on the labor part of it, doing everything manually? Do it through a different mechanism. Do it through AI and automation. I just don't understand. I mean, if you're looking at it from a pure effectiveness and efficiency standpoint, and the other piece is there's programs, I suppose, that are being set up to further enhance revenue generation. And I don't know. What does that mean for us long term? What union is that? Let me look at my notes again here. Hang on one second. I can give you the name of it. What is the name of the union? All right. NTEU is the name of the union. NTEU. Oops, missed it. It's crazy though, right? These unions that are part of government agencies. Do you think there's maybe they should just not endorse a candidate? I mean, it seems like a conflict of interest massively, right? I don't know. Kamala for president, nobody's voting for Trump, says Pam. Yeah, we'll see. Polls are tied at this point, but honestly, I don't think I trust those polls. Those polls seem a little crazy. I mean, you look at what happened a few years back, the outcomes, they started shifting the last day of, right? Nobody wanted to be wrong. Started shifting the last day on that. Yeah, I'm trying to, do you think AI could go up against billionaire lawyers? So, I mean, if it's letter of the law type stuff and you don't create so many loopholes and whatever, it doesn't matter. Like it's, it should generate it. And if you think that there's an error in the approach and the logic or whatever, then it can go through an individual review. I mean, set up the framework. I don't see why not. The IRS is corrupt too. Boomers laughing at me here. What's going on? Just vote Trump. Polls are corrupt. Trump, Kamala. Yeah. So, hey, thanks for the likes. I don't know. I'm still astonished though, right? IRS union backs Kamala. And let me put this out there, okay? Hang on a second. Let me see. Will it show? I don't know if I can get this on the screen. Shoot. I don't know if it'll show up properly. Shoot. Let me see if I can pick this out. Here we go. Shoot. Didn't. I should have made the image before I came on the live, guys. Sorry about that. But there's actually a tweet out there from an account called Kamala Wins. I think that's the user handle. It used to be Biden Wins, right? But now it's Kamala Wins. Just scratch out the names and put a new one in there, I guess. So they actually published it as a highlight. Like, the IRS union backs Kamala. We're going to win because of that. I don't know. It's bizarre to me. Just bizarre. All right. Darkwing, I'm going to approve your comment. And you just said Trump. I don't know why it got censored. Could you imagine her talking to other world leaders? Nope. Oh, your handle's nope. I meant no, I can't. Trump, Democrat, inflation is killing our pocketbook. Yep, inflation is killing us. This time around, Trump will go after criminals, so forth. Georgia's trying to mess up the ballots. IRS union wanting Harris makes me want Trump 1,000,000% more. Shelley, I mean, I'm right there with you on that. It's bizarre to me. But then the campaign, one of her campaign Twitter accounts or X accounts highlighted that as a big win. We got the IRS union behind us. Let's go, guys. I'm totally baffled by it, right? This picture is Allshot. I don't know what Allshot is. Robert, if you could restate that in a different way, maybe. Black Butterfly loves Kamala. Kamala and the IRS. Oh, gosh. You're mad. Percent, but I don't know. Let's see if we can get an opinion from somebody on this topic out here. Hey, Morgan, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing all right. What's your thought on this topic?
What is the point?
Point of what?
IRS union endorses Harris.
I don't know what their point is by doing that.
What's your point of caring?
What's that?
What's your point of caring about it?
It's being touted as a big win by her campaign's Twitter account.
Yeah,
I think it sounds
they put all their endorsements up. NETU is a decent one, I guess, but it's a small donor committee. I don't. What's the fuss? I don't get it. The comment said, this means nothing. Yeah, it literally means nothing.
Did you read that comment? No,
that's not me. Shit. I don't think I need the support on this one. I don't think this means anything, brother.
Okay, so that's what your feeling is. You're good with it, whatever.
Yeah, she gets labor endorsements all the time. Okay. It's just another labor endorsement.
Okay, that's fine.
There's a reason Trump does not have these endorsements. He's bad for workers.
Okay.
So IRS and union endorses Harris. Yeah, sounds par for the course. Union labor endorsing Democrats. So that's my thoughts on it. This is par for the course. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
The union doesn't decide how the IRS operates. They just help them I believe they have a bargaining agreement, just helps them get decent wages that they get raises with inflation and stuff They don't make the Congress makes policy about the IRS.
Yeah. Okay. That's perfectly fine.
What are your thoughts on it? Why is it important to you?
I find it humorous.
What's funny about it?
The Inflation Reduction Act calls for quite a few new IRS agents to be out there, and then surprisingly, the IRS union is supporting Harris.
Yeah, they want better workplace conditions, and they're short-staffed.
So
they need more workers, so they're not being overworked. Of course, they support somebody who wants to fund the IRS. That's in my benefit,
too. It's also tied to more taxation. All that stuff kind of lumps together as an interesting theme.
For me, I want the IRS to be funded to make doing my taxes easier. But, that's just me.
You want the IRS funded to make your taxes easier?
Yeah, dude. When was the last time you tried to get somebody on the phone for your taxes? They don't have staff. It's bad.
Oh, I have somebody help me out with that, and they take care of it because the code is too complex. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody should be able to get in contact with somebody at the IRS if they need be. The reason you have to hire somebody is because they have to sit on the phone for 30 hours to get somebody. So I think they have, a good case. They should, we should fund the IRS, and the union endorsing them is just, hey, we need more staff. Kamala Harris is willing to do that. Okay, we're riding with Harris then. Union labor always supports Democrats because Democrats support union labor, bro. The Republicans, they are not about union or workers. They're not about the workers.
All right. I got a couple more questions for you, then I want to get somebody else that's waiting out here. What is it specifically that you think makes it so that Trump is not for workers? What has he said? What has he done?
He's a Republican.
And
the party
that
is
just
not
translates
for workers.
Bad for workers?
Yeah, Republicans are historically bad for workers, and in the contemporary as well.
What if I were to say Democrats are historically racist, so it's bad for...
I would say I agree. But if we're talking about workers across the board, higher wages, better benefits, Social Security, retirement, healthcare, those are core parts of the Democratic platform. Republicans hardly even talk about raising wages in a real way. They just say, oh, we need to raise wages. Okay, how are we going to do that? You want to raise the minimum wage and make everyone's wages go up? You want to invest in pensions and union labor? No. Okay, he's a Republican. Republicans do not believe in supporting working class people.
I think you're completely wrong about that.
I don't think there's any evidence. I don't think there's any evidence in the opposition. There's just not. So when you vote for Republicans, you're voting for, to defund the IRS so billionaires can get away with taxes. They'll come knocking on your door, though. Okay, so it doesn't benefit me as a worker.
Okay. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming out, sharing your thoughts on it. I want to get somebody else up here to kind of give their perspectives on it. Oh, you jumped off. We got FSU HVAC. Gave you a little bump on the list there. Just saw your name.
No, you're good. I was just going to ask old buddy there about the Teamsters Union and how was it 58% of the people in the union wanted to support Trump, but the heads of the union said, "No, we're not going to," and backed out. So we're just not going to support either one. So when we say unions don't support Republicans, to be clear, the mob type bosses at the top of Teamsters Union and stuff like that do not support Democrats, but it turns out some of the workers are coming out in favor of Republicans. And I will say it is funny for the IRS, who have notoriously gone after low income, low wage people. I mean, we can look at that. Support a candidate who has done nothing to crack down on, we're quoting here, air quoting, the rich in this country. Mm-hmm. And to be clear, Democrats, was it 12 of the last 16 years, Democrats have held the White House and have done nothing for the tax codes that crack down on, quote unquote, the rich. Mm-hmm. So I'm just waiting on when your mommies and daddies are going to do that for you.
Yeah, it's interesting. And the just vote against somebody, like being Republican is good enough not to vote for someone. It's an interesting thing to me. And just the assumption that one side is always in your favor or always for labor. Because in all honesty, you look at the population, just from a political standpoint, why would any party want to alienate like over 100 million people? Like, they want to represent them, they want to win. I don't get that association at all.
Yeah, I don't either. I wouldn't be for a party that kept my country locked down longer than it was necessary the last time. So if I was for the workers, I would make different choices. But that's me. I wanted to shot at your buddy here, but I guess he didn't feel like it. So if you need the space, you go ahead and kick me.
Now let's see, get somebody else on that's like putting in a bunch of comments here. Let's see if he's gonna go. Hey, Noodles, are you there?
Yep.
Hey, how you doing today?
Doing good.
All right. What's your thoughts on this? I saw you had a bunch of comments there.
Yeah, I just think that it's first of all, the whole saying that just because the union endorsed Harris, that means that we're just going to be paying more taxes. Second, maybe the tax code did not get changed at all because we were under such a high inflation that changing the tax code and also doing an anti-inflation policy will put us in a direct recession. So you need to tackle one before you can actually fix the other.
Anti-inflation policy was going to put us into a recession.
No. If we were to have let's say that when the Inflation Reduction Act had included a change for the tax codes in which more than likely these companies will start to pay more taxes. That is a recipe for disaster. Because you're doubling the pressure that you're putting on these companies. You're raising the interest rates and also raising their taxes. That itself would have been hell for the country. Mm-hmm. So that's why we're still under the Trump era tax rates.
Okay. But you're saying that we should move away from that eventually?
Absolutely. Because if anything was proven by that is that it didn't do a thing. No jobs got moved back to the U.S. or got formed with this legislation, because we have known for years, and I don't know why we continue to give more free will to these companies that have proven through the years and history that they cannot self-regulate, because whenever they self-regulate, we end up in the housing crisis that we had during the Obama administration. That's why we need to like highly regulate these companies because they're not going to do them themselves.
Okay. Any thoughts, FSU?
By regulation, what are you trying to? I guess what would be your ideal tax plan?
Well, I don't want them to not have a profit because like a company and we're in a capitalist system, but I feel like it needs to be properly adjusted on like possibly like a 2-3 year basis or like a 4-year basis, just to make sure that that money that it's cycling to the company gets given to the workers. Because right now we live in
There it is.
we live in an economy that these companies and those at the top are just like taking that money and keeping it. It's not cycling in the economy.
So you want a system where everybody's bought into an organization, all the money rolls out equally to everybody.
Not necessarily equally, because like those at the top, they do impart more risk. Like the board of directors, they're the one like signaling the company, so it shouldn't be like the same rate as like an employee. Like if we take, for example, Walmart, like you're definitely not going to pay the same to a cashier versus someone that's like a manager for like a state or something. You're definitely not going to pay them the same. But
you just said a minute ago that you wanted them to not have profits.
I did not say that. I said that they should have profit.
I swear you said, okay, well then if that's not what you meant, then that's what I heard. And if that's not what you meant, that's fine. I swear that's what I heard. That's fine.
Because if they don't have profits, we wouldn't be a capitalist system. I just think that the way that is being done right now, the minimum wage thing has not worked. Because like most of these companies are not paying their employees exponentially the difference that it has made throughout, I would say, the last 10 years. The profit margins that they are seeing are like they have no relation whatsoever to the wage increases that these employees are getting. Because how are you going to tell me that, record profits, like I don't know how many billions, yet the employees are getting like the standard 3-5% increase year over year?
Let me make a comment real quick on that point, right? So 2 data points on the margins. Walmart's margins were about 3.8% back in 2020, and they ended last year at 1.8%. And like that's part of how Wall Street looks at them as being good managers, kind of delivering on promises and stuff. So they don't want to have smaller margins, right? But the reason that it's getting eaten away at is because of inflation, and they're not able to pass all the costs on to the consumer, even though they have quite a bit. And when you see certain companies having much higher revenues and so forth, it's because each of their products have, the inflationary effect has driven the markets, prices, revenues, everything has increased significantly. So it's not, some of this, there's like an artificial nature to it, right? And when you're talking billions of dollars, the perception becomes, like, look, they're making record profits. What's going on here? But you got to look at those margins that they publish, actually, right? They're going down for a lot of these retailers. They're having a harder time passing the cost on the consumers. And then you got to look at the consumers, right? Because it's at a certain point, they can go negative really quickly. And then, what happens at that point? There's a mass set of repercussions, layoffs, so forth.
It also helped that during the event that caused everybody to get shut down, that they were one of the only places that were open. You kind of artificially jack up their profits when you force people to only shop at one location. That was always a point that always got missed in these debates, that artificially shutting down the mom and pop places, the smaller grocery chains, and then telling everybody to go shop at Walmart and do your business with Walmart would increase their profit margins.
And someone in the comments, Engineer Enigma, saying that price gouging was a cause of stuff here, which I don't know. It's, you look at how tight those margins are, like Walmart's, right? And the margin went down. Like, how are they price gouging? You think their margins would go up if they were?
When you're saying like the margin, like, where is this like being posted at? Are you saying like
each company has to file quarterly reports with the Securities Exchange Commission, and they hold like a call with analysts and with shareholders to say, in this quarter we made X amount of dollars. Here's our financial standing, so forth. So if you could look it up on their website, Yahoo Finance, the SEC's website. They publish, what was their net profit margin on an annual basis, on a quarterly basis, the revenues, so forth. So I'm just basing it on market data that's publicly available. But back to the topic at hand, I still find it humorous that the IRS union is being touted as a big accomplishment by the Harris campaign.
I do find that strange. That is not one that I would highlight, and especially them. And then Dick Cheney, I would not highlight him as a big. Let me beat my chest. And there was another one recently, a predominant, evil person from Democrats came out and supported Kamala, and I was like, all these people that were just boogeymen to Democrats like 10 years ago are now celebrated. And I mean, boogeymen for good reasons. I didn't like defending Dick Cheney as a Republican back in those days. I did not like him. I actually voted against him, to be honest, and Bush. And I'm just being totally transparent, y'all. Like, I've not been one side my whole life or anything, but some of that stuff was just, wasn't good to me. Yeah, I don't know. There comes a time where you look in the mirror and realize maybe some of these guys that are coming out and supporting my candidate, maybe I should look in the mirror and see what my candidate's doing to earn their support. But I don't know. Well, I do appreciate you as always, Political Ops. I gotta just for a second, I was gonna hijack your live. There is a friend of mine that I need to get you met up with, because you guys are both even keel, want to talk politics and keep a really cool head about it. His name's Lawson or Salty, and you two would do very well together as far as talking about politics. I gotta get you guys on a live together one day.
Yeah. Shoot me his live if it's ongoing or whatever. Or, send me his profile.
All right, we'll do, bud. Have a good night.
Right. You take care. Yep. So 90,000 full-time employees at the IRS, and it still gets me. You got companies like NVIDIA with 30,000 employees that they're leading the way. All the hardware for the AI revolution is coming from them. The CHIPS Act and all that stuff. These are the folks that designed the chips that everyone is so concerned about getting in the wrong hands, right? So, I mean, you look at that company and the innovations they're putting forward with 30,000 employees. I'm not suggesting they triple overnight. It doesn't scale like that. But just in the context of they're doing something right in terms of leveraging AI and automation and doing things in creative ways. The government should as well. Why do we need 90,000 employees in the IRS? All right, we got one more person coming up here. Hey, Seth, what's going on?
Hey, man. I feel like the reason like these like companies are kind of endorsing Harris is because like Trump's like pretty. Like, I don't know, he's pretty bad, dude. Like, a lot of, like, even, like, I'm not even saying this is, like, my opinion, even though I do feel like he's, like, an awful person, but, like, when, like, someone says, like, the hard R, and, like, they get dropped from everything, because, like, even though they may have said it, like, 10 years ago, in maybe context, right, could be argued, but, you still got to do it for a PR thing. That's kind of why I feel like these, like, these people are like these companies aren't endorsing Trump because it would just be awful for like PR wise, right?
The companies, or are you talking about the labor unions here?
I guess more or less as companies, like you brought up like NVIDIA.
Oh yeah, so I don't think many companies at all, especially the publicly traded ones, are trying to put themselves out on a limb like that at all for either side, you know. But they do contribute to both.
Oh,
play both sides of it.
Is this? I guess I don't really care for like the IRS union endorsing Harris. Is this all you more or less want to like discuss, or?
Well, anything else that's on your mind too. This was something that I thought was kind of funny and ironic at the same time that was out there. That Inflation Reduction Act, expand the IRS, hire 80,000 new workers, and unexpectedly their union is supporting her.
How do you feel like, I guess, like about the border?
We need to address that problem. I don't think that as a country we're really set up to handle that mass influx of folks. I mean, there were protocols and there is a system in place to allow for immigration, and it was at a measured pace. It's become a bit unmanageable now to where it's a strain on a lot of local budgets and communities and so forth. It's an unfortunate thing for a lot of folks, right? Because there's people caught in the middle. I'm sure that they were, making the move with a promise in mind and so forth, and because there's a human cost here that folks aren't really kind of putting into consideration. So we gotta fix it to disallow some of that, problems that come with it from a human standpoint.
I guess I agree and disagree. I do feel like we can let these people in, but obviously, like you said, right, like through like legal like methods, and like letting these people in will improve the economy. But I also want to ask like two other questions, right? Like you said, we're not really in a position to, I guess, bring all these people in. Do you feel like also, I hope this doesn't come off as like kind of random or like out of left field, but do you feel like we should be like, I guess, providing aid for like other countries like Taiwan or like Ukraine?
The prioritization of things gets me, and I think those are questions that we need to talk about. Someone talks about. So, and by that I'm saying I've heard for a few years now, hey, $20 billion will end homelessness nationally. And you scratch your head, and it's like, well, why don't we just do that? Let's do that. Like, because I'm not for raising taxes, I'm not for spending, but if that's the cost of fixing that up, and somebody has a plan to run on that, okay, let's do it, right? There's a lot of things like that that don't get prioritized, and makes you start to wonder, why isn't it? Are we funding at too high of a level other places around the world? Do we need to make sure we do prioritize, the citizens that we have here first on those types of things? So it's stuff like that, right? There's a lot of talk about raising minimum wage. Is that the right answer? Because it's something that'll have to continuously be done every so often if that was the track you took. Is it something more about free education or kind of upskilling people and giving those opportunities out there? I don't know. I don't hear enough of that conversation about allocation of funds, but what we hear in the headlines and see is a lot of aid going elsewhere. So I do think it's a valid thing to talk about how effective and efficient the government's being with things.
I'll say this. I agree with your point, but if we were to outright just end homelessness, like I feel like people are calling Kama like a communist, right? Like like are we like we hate communism, but we're for like I guess using this money to end homelessness? Like I'm confused, right? Like.
Can you explain a little more? I'm not following.
Yeah, like there's just a lot of like rhetorics, and I don't because I'm not sure if this is your position, right? But like, this sounds very Marxist to just like quote unquote end homelessness with all this money, right? Like, I just want to know.
Like, I don't know how it
exactly.
what I'm trying to say is, like, you asked, like, am I okay with all the money going overseas? And to me, it's like, no, I'm not. It seems like a huge scale. And
okay. No.
To me,
Never mind
it's
that.
it's a prioritization thing you think about.
Yeah. My fault. I didn't mean
It's like, how do you? Yeah, because it's like we say we've got problems here, and if we spend X, we could solve it, but then we don't, and 10 times that amount's going overseas.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
you know what I mean?
Those are the two questions I asked. Well, then I'll ask you this, right? Then how did you feel about, like, the bipartisan border?
Yeah, it seems like it was a little bit of political, backroom type of stuff that went on that kind of put it to a halt.
I understand, but did you agree with it more or less, or?
I don't remember all the details of it, to be honest.
Well, I do. No, I'm kidding. But I will say this though. Like, besides one of the things in there that a lot of Republicans like to say was like, because again, it was a bipartisan border, like bipartisan piece of legislation, right? So there was Ukraine funding in it, but my thing is, Ukraine, like, it was, I think it was called the supplemental affirmations bill, and it was strictly aid to other countries, including Ukraine. So I feel like, if we're against giving money to Ukraine, or just giving countries to money, or giving money to countries in general, can we at least solve the border issue as well? Like, I feel like we can't be against it when the border is included, but then when the border isn't included, when it's just aid to other countries, now we're for, like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
I think I might be tracking with you here. So, I mean, like at the end of the day, all right, like, the volume of folks that come into the country, we need to be able to handle that and have something set up to kind of manage that and move it to make society productive, assimilation and all that stuff.
Well, I'll tell you this as well. For the border bill, it would have boosted border security. We would have had thousands of more border security members as well. And then also the asylum seeking process would have been spun up. So a big reason why some of these people are coming in, right, is because it literally takes years for like interviews and all that, and this would sped up the process. Like, even like if you want to give me a number and how long like this should all take, I'm fine with that, but I don't think it should take upwards to 10 years. I feel like that's ridiculous, right? Like, I feel like anyone could agree. And this again, and also even without for what I'm saying, this was endorsed by the Border Security Council, right? So the like border security members at the border are saying like, hey, this would really help us out, and we should really get this done. I feel like with all that being said, I feel like it was just really dumb to kind of shut that down. And I think, well, I'm sure you know why, like the backdoor reasons why it was shut down. I feel like it kind of shows that Trump doesn't really care about the border.
Yeah, so I mean, it's political stuff like that happens constantly, right? I don't like it. I don't think that kind of stuff should happen, right? I mean, I can align with that. The points that you made around it, I can align with too. There's a balance in terms of the resourcing and funding required to process things in a given time frame. I don't know what an acceptable time frame is or not, to be honest with you.
Yeah, of course. Like,
I don't know what that is. We would have to kind of weigh out the cost versus that.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean. Like, I'm not an expert on it either. I don't know how long it should take, but I feel like anyone can agree it shouldn't take upwards to like 10 years. Even, and those are in extreme cases. Even like a year, maybe. I feel like that's a bit insane too. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I can align with that. That sounds perfectly acceptable to me.
Yeah, no, that was pretty much all I wanted to get at. I don't know, I'm tired. I don't really like, but I appreciate you. You're pretty in good faith. A lot of people will I guess just more or less agree in this day and age. So I really appreciate that. But all
right, yeah, sure, no problem. And that's the thing is I don't think folks kind of stop and listen and try to understand. There was a gentleman on earlier, I can't even remember his name, but I didn't agree with everything he said, but I realized it's hey, it's not about me trying to convince him I'm right or whatever. I just listen to what he said and, acknowledge his thought process on it. And we're just talking here, there's things that we can kind of both agree on. And I wish more people would do that, especially that are in charge of stuff.
like when I talk to Trump supporters, I always ask this one question, and this kind of gauges if I'm honestly gonna have like a good faith dialogue with a Trump supporter. I always ask like, what are some things that you don't like about President Trump, right? Like I'll say this, right? I'll literally start off like Kamala, like she's pro fracking, and she describes herself as like a top cop. As a black guy, I just can't sit there. Like that's a bit too much. And I mean more or less the fracking thing. That's like clean drinking water is going to go fucking out the window. You know what I mean? So that's one thing. Like I wouldn't like any other election. I probably wouldn't vote for Kamala. I just don't like. I don't really even care for her that much. I just feel like
we all, to an extent, have to hold our nose. All right, Seth, I think I'm losing you here, but I appreciate you coming on and talking through, sharing your thoughts here. But anyway, I just think it's amusing, right? Pass a bill that has a tremendous increase in the number of border agents, and then miraculously their union is supporting you. I don't know, there's some political irony. I don't know what the right term is. It almost seems like a comic strip, right? Something out of a comic strip that might be generated. And if you're wondering, that's not I didn't pull that off of somebody else's comic. That's AI generated image there. So let's see. Let's check out some of these comments that we got to go in here. I don't know where we're talking about India there. Harris will win. Harris can't win. IRS union, but not IRS employees. But that's a funny point there, though, right? Because I wonder, you pay fees to be a part of the union, right? I don't know what they are, $100, whatever it is, right? You multiply that across tens of thousands of individuals, and it ends up being a considerable amount of money. What does that kind of go towards, right? I mean, I've got personal family experience where the union did not step up to represent and take care of, the worker when times got tough. They were kind of like cozied up with the employer and didn't want to cause any disruption to that. And so it was a little bit more palatable to do nothing. So I don't know. I don't have good personal union experiences that I can kind of point to. We will be the joke of the world and worse than having Joe, says Habibi. Charles Jones, they took funding for other countries. They stand on bill. Trump is the worst. The only reason Joe is supporting Harris is because if he doesn't, no more ice cream. You know what? I'm going to give you you've earned with that comment a sticker of Kamala and Joe having ice cream together. There you go. Pretty funny. Why do they endorse her? She's not even a favorite. Georgia will not solidify the votes on the election night because they know Trump is losing. Rompy, I got my swim trunks and flippy flops, yeah. Victoria, this is BS. No, actually, this is not. This is true. It's not a joke. This is not satire. On the Kamala Wins Twitter account, which is affiliated with the campaign, it used to be Biden Wins, but now it's Kamala Wins. They've posted this publicly as another major endorsement. Vote down is America. Oh, it's not. Oh, wait, it is. You got me confused, Victoria. Got me confused there. All right, let me see if I can get over to another one here. living in fairy tale land 2016 all over again. People are sick of y'all. Oh, I think people are more tired of inflation. I think they're pretty tired of inflation happening. Or that happened, and now they want a path to managing through it. Something that's more sustainable than Robin Hood economics, taking from the wealthy and giving it back to everybody else. But at some point, you're going to run out of that money. I mean, if you took, I might get the stats slightly wrong, but if you took all of the billionaires in the U.S., maybe there's 1,000 of them, I think, somewhere around there, maybe a little less. But if you took all of their financial assets, right, and you put that in the treasury, it wouldn't even fund the government for a year. So you got to like scratch your head and think like, what, you know, these things are not sustainable long term. How do you continue the kind of flow in the cycle of things, right? Is there a different way than just redistribution? What do you mean there's no inflation? What are you talking about? There's plenty of inflation. There's plenty of inflation. It's slowed down. Prices are going up less quickly, but they're still going to continue to go up. Oh, Cyber Ninja, are you on there? Okay, gotcha. Didn't see the little dot next to the icon.
Yo.
Hey, how you doing today?
Good.
All right, good deal, man. So what's on your mind?
Well, this inflation, this topic that you have on your screen, like, you think there's not corporate greed happening?
That happens all the time. I'm sure there's corporate greed.
Like CEOs pay increase 400% when the workers increase like 10%. You don't see how that's bad?
Oh, I never said that was good.
Yeah, because they were supposed to pass it on the trickle down, when they trickle it down, how they pass it on to us in the form of increasing their CEO's pay and share buybacks. Is that a good way to pass it on to the consumer?
Pass what on exactly?
With the trickle down economics, when you give billionaire elitists tax break, permanent tax cuts, in the thought that that's going to trickle down to the consumer, when instead of doing that, they increase CEO salaries 400%, and like, how did that trickle down to us?
Are you referencing the Trump tax cuts? And that's like a action that's trickle down economics? Yeah.
Yep, and then the tariffs that you have to put on people to offset those, and then you have to put like deduction caps on property, like your taxes on your housing. They put caps on it, like $5,000. You can only cap it, even though your property value goes up 100%. You can still only deduct $5,000 or $10,000, I think, if it's a
it's 10. It's 10. But I get your point, though.
The family in the home.
Yeah, I get your point, though. I get your point.
Yeah,
so,
we already seen this with Reagan. What happened, and he increased taxes on people seven times throughout his administration with stagflation.
So just because I remember that tax one, what's the national average property tax that people pay? Is it about 1% or a little over, or something? Because I live in an area that property taxes are pretty doggone high. It's astronomically high, but averages out, I thought, around 1%. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because like, I don't think Texas, do they even have property taxes?
Oh yeah, we got plenty. Trust me. I mean, it's close to 3%. I gotta look. Did it go over 3%?
Or is it Florida? No, Florida doesn't. You guys just don't pay the state tax.
There's no income tax for the state. That's right. Yep, but we do have, property tax.
Yeah, I just don't see how trickle down work is going to work. It's just going to dig in deeper to our deficit.
The tax breaks that happened were spread out. It wasn't just, the tax breaks were not everyone that makes over $1 million a year, you get a tax break, no one else does. It happened across all brackets.
Well, we got them for 2 years, didn't we?
No, they're still effective now. Like
But
the whole system is going to expire next year, and then it'll revert to what they were under Obama, which was a bit higher, and then the ranges get a little bit tighter.
Then why have my taxes went up? Since like 2021, I've paid a little bit more every year. I mean,
I'm hopeful that it's just related to your income going up too. I hope, but
because I know in 2018 and 19, I did save a bunch in taxes, but then ever since then, it's just increased.
yeah. So I mean, the Social Security tax, depending on where you fall, like that range of income that it covers will increase. Like it used to be, it was just your first, say, 120 grand, and it's slowly gone up to, I feel like it's 160,000 now. But that increases the portion you have to pay in taxes. I mean, there's a bunch of like little things like that do continue to go up.
Trump's tariffs, I was reading, like how that was supposed to bring in some revenue, but I guess around 90% of that ended up getting paid out to farmers when they had to bail out farmers because of the China retaliatory tariffs. Like, and if you try to put a blanket tariff on everybody on all the goods, do you know how many retaliatory tariffs we're going to get?
Yeah, I'm sure there will be actions like that, and
do you think that's why no economists are for blanket tariffs?
They're looking at it from a pure economic standpoint, though.
School of Wharton and like Ken Griffin, the School of Economics out of Chicago.
Yeah, there's other reasons that you do tariffs. It's not just for bettering your personal economy. There's also like foreign relations type activities. You want to kind of deter someone, their behaviors from doing a given action. So you put tariffs
like
on that,
the China electric cars. If they let them sell them here, then it would pretty much decimate our EV industry.
Yep, that's right. That's exactly right. And that's a national security issue for us.
Do you think that's because we weren't progressive enough with our innovation, and we were more regressive? And
well, Elon Musk, he didn't patent any of his products at Tesla. Nothing's patented there, and he's open sourced it more or less, right?
Well, yeah, he bought Tesla.
He did buy it, but like all the technology they've developed, it's open. He didn't patent any of it.
That was like, what, 2002 or something when he bought it?
I don't remember when he bought it, but like everything that's currently made now, any other manufacturer can actually go and pick up, recreate, build out, and execute on, right? So it's like they're taking our intellectual property and intellectual capital, producing the products, at scale with like lower input costs, because labor is very cheap there. The resources don't have as much regulation to produce, from lithium to aluminum, all the other stuff.
Labor and stuff.
Yeah, so like they're able to produce it for like a fraction of what we do, because they don't have to be beholden to all the regulation and proper standards for safety and so forth that we, put on the companies.
Right.
And so then it's like we don't want that to come in here, because that's going to actually be negative to American companies.
Why didn't we make more moves like when Elon bought it in 2002? Like, this is old technology by now. Like, it's kind of like what we did with our infrastructure on the internet. Like, all these other third world countries all have fiber optic cables, and we still don't even have it here because we don't allow progress to happen, because we want these other people who were in earlier, like oil companies or whoever, to keep making money. Like before fiber optics wires, we went big. Right? I just don't. I think we're not being progressive enough with our innovation. Like, we should be on top of everything.
Yeah, I mean that's something they get addressed, right? It can be public policy that addresses that. Corporations,
like by the time we go big on EVs. By the time we go in big on EVs, there's probably going to be, I mean, this is going to be old technology, and there's going to be, like Toyota, they're developing ammonia-powered engines and stuff now because the EV charge times, and they don't really see a future without like charging roads, which is going to be super expensive. Like those highways that actually charge your car while you're driving.
Yeah. So I mean, all that infrastructure to put in place is like very expensive. And then if you pick one right now to go at scale with it, what if that's not the most efficient one and you can't do it at a lower cost over
we're
time?
behind. That's what I'm saying. Like the EV, like the high speed rails, like other countries has had since the 90s. In 2000s, we don't even have one, and now we're deciding to build one.
Yeah, I know. It's some of that stuff. It's not corporate greed. It's not. It's just gridlock and a lack of decision making. I would say I want to recognize Seamus. Hey, what's going on, Seamus?
Gridlock. It is gridlock. Which I don't know why. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like we got a progressive side and a conservative side fighting, and I think we need to be more progressive because that's what this country was all about.
Those terms I think are kind of mischaracterized when it comes to the parties. Progressive, and Democrat, and democracy, and so forth. It's not like the other parties not for growth and being innovative.
In some ways, they aren't.
So, I guess in what way are you thinking?
Well, we need to be investing more in education to make our future smarter.
Yeah.
But for some reason, conservatives don't see it that way. Like they want to take money away from education to make people dumber, I guess. Because I don't know why.
One of Trump's platform items is to have post-secondary education that's free, like trade schools and at least like the first 2 years of college, or like going to a community college and getting an associate's, having those be available free.
That should be. I mean, college shouldn't be what it is now. It's ridiculous. How much?
So a lot of those things have gotten unchecked over the years, right? So like the cost of healthcare that's gotten astronomical. Why is tuition? Well, I have a theory as to why tuition has gotten so high.
Taxes has gone down the whole time that stuff like that's been going up.
I don't know if there's a correlation between the education one.
I mean, like in the 50s and 60s, what the corporate tax rate were during that time. I think in the 50s, what was it, like 60%? In the 60s, I think it was 50% when people could work for 20 years on a single household income and retire with benefits because they had benefits and Social Security and they didn't have to keep raising the wage. And we're doing all this while corporate taxes are coming down. So of course there's some type of correlation.
Yeah, I was just thinking specifically of the education piece. I don't know if the tax rates for corporations directly tie to the increasing cost of education. I mean, so I agree with you that, standard of living seems to have decreased over time when you compare those things that you're talking about. And just kind of go point by point on them.
And people are becoming wealthier while that's happening.
Yeah, so income disparities have grown over time.
Is that called oligarchy, I guess, if we're headed that way?
I don't know. I hope not. But, back to your point of progressive versus not, I see the difference between the parties when it comes to fiscal items like this is, Kamala said she wants to create an opportunity economy. But that translates a lot more to redistribution of wealth, right? I see the two sides as do you want to just kind of make the government be in a position to continuously provide aid and take care of people, or do you want to restructure how everything works?
Well, what do you think
within the economy so people can be more self-sufficient and grow?
We're going to have to, because Amazon, they're deploying all those. They deployed 750,000 robots last month to replace jobs because the robots can operate for $2.90 an hour, 24 hours a day. And then what do you think is going to happen when the autonomous driving kicks in? When that's 40-something% of all our workforce, especially with Uber and Grubhub and just the truckers.
Yeah, so that one you might be able to just kind of from a national security standpoint, because that would happen overnight, and just the well-being of the, of the country, you might have to kind of put a pause on that.
Distribute that wealth somehow.
Well, I was thinking like some of those things you may just have to put a pause on it until we can figure out a better way of going about it. I don't feel comfortable with the idea of take money from the rich and give it to somebody who's considered not rich.
Well, like that last revision on the jobs report, where they said like the 800,000 and something. Like if you look at that, most of those jobs were professional jobs, like in accounting and finance, which was and in the healthcare, which was strictly AI related.
Yeah, that's right. So there's going to be an even bigger displacement of white collar jobs and everything that's going to happen, say within the next decade.
Yeah, because why do we really need accountants when we can have? I mean, we're not going to need.
There's no need at that point. Yeah, there's no need. You could do so much, right? So much can get replaced. But then, to me, the question is: do people just kind of like sit back and they're taken care of and not productive? What happens at that point? It doesn't seem to be the type of.
Some people may come up with some great ideas that would but I mean, it would only take that one great idea to help us. Like somebody who's spending all their time having to work, and when we could have like another Benjamin Franklin or Tesla or some great person, or Da Vinci, even somebody who could come up with something to help the entire world. Like, so that person may be working a 9-to-5 right now. You just don't know.
Yeah,
but I mean, it could.
In mass, though, just being in a position where you say, okay, everybody gets a salary of X, and you can live off that. There's no need to work. Maybe this is very far off. If there's like more robotics and AI automation, I don't know how to solve that. But like right now, in the near term, I don't feel comfortable with the government kind of taking more money from what they consider rich, because at a certain point it's like, who defines what rich is, right? The bar will continue to get lowered, I feel like, and then where does that kind of leave people from like a motivation standpoint, from an incentive to do those types of things like you're talking about? A lot of it was done because people were trying to create something or grow something, and there was financial benefit was associated with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's going to be, we're going to probably see something in our lifetime, like a downside to all these jobs being taken without having a plan in place.
Yeah.
Before they, implement something and figure it out. But they were saying like within 2040 or something, how many jobs were going to be replaced. Elon Musk was even talking about it.
Yeah, and that's the time frame where they're saying AI is developing so quickly that it'll be effective enough to kind of take over a lot of these jobs that, as we see them now. What do you do at that point? And I don't have an answer to that.
That's why I think we need to start, implementing the idea of the distribution of wealth.
So, like, if we start doing something and say that we're working on addressing that issue in the future, I feel better about that because there's an outcome that you're after, right? And you know that there's going to be major disruption. A lot of what's out there right now, I feel like, is more just retribution. Like that 25% unrealized gains tax is like, I don't understand the value in doing something like that.
I don't like the end gains.
It's like a retribution against someone for just being rich.
I don't think that'll even hold up. But I do like the capital gains tax because that'll encourage people to invest instead of buy and trade, which would actually help retirement in the markets, because you'd have to hold your asset for at least a year if you wanted to avoid that.
Well, the long term and short term's always been there, right? They're looking at increasing the 20% to 28 now, so it'll be a net increase regardless for people.
Mm-hmm. But they're using, those traders are using like algorithms and computers just to buy, just to penny stocks all day long, like raking in cash.
Yeah. And
they should.
It's problematic.
They should be taxed.
I don't think they're not. I don't think they're not taxed. I think they are taxed.
Right, but there's no other place they're going to be able to do that in the world. I mean, what this country's letting them make all that money just to pump and dump stocks all day long is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't see a whole lot of value in a lot of those activities. Got to figure it out somewhere, but I don't think that. I don't think that just arbitrarily saying like we're going to raise your taxes because we don't like you is the right way to go.
If it could bring down the cost of education and help with our healthcare, it might be. I mean, because the majority of people's like bankruptcies are from health issues, and like the majority of people's retirement is towards the end of their life spent in hospitals and trying to take care of them for like the last 2 months of life, how expensive that is. It's like crazy. Like the American people should not be spending, because that could be passed on to their family, and that would just help the family, and that would just help the economy because they'd be able to put more money into the economy. Like, for these healthcare companies to get rich off of, I don't know, is it the insurance companies? I'm sure they're making a buttload off of it too.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things like that.
People at the end of their life.
Yeah, I can personally align with like I don't think it's appropriate to make so much money off of people's well-being and healthcare, right? I mean, I'd be perfectly fine if stuff was centralized in that respect, because I don't know what value insurance companies really add into the system. They're not researching new treatments or anything like that, right? They're just shaving a little bit off the top for themselves. So it's like, what if you want to centralize that, because there's no real value from that layer, centralize that, and you could take, like, I pay into my insurance every month, my company does. If the government wants to take that money, right, try not to like increase tax on people, but just focus on what's already paid in and make that more efficient. I'd be fine with that being tried out. The only thing that gets me is like, okay, how do you make sure that, doctors and stuff, because some of them go to school for like 20 years or whatever. Like, I don't know, it's nuts. But like, how do you make sure that they're at least compensated and recognized for all the effort and skill that, they've put into being able to do the things they do? I don't know. The individuals, I don't want them to kind of get impacted by it.
Yeah, I don't think doctors should lose out on money. Unless, some of those doctors are taking money from insurance companies, but they were pushing like opiates and all those.
Yeah, all that stuff, all those bad actors. Yeah, I think everyone can say like, we got to take care of that. But I don't know. There should be a better way on healthcare. It doesn't make sense to me why we do things the way we do.
No, and then we could buy in bulk, which would be just make drugs cheaper. Like that's what Switzerland saved. I think it was Switzerland a whole bunch of money just buying in bulk all their drugs instead of per person that needed it, or however we do it with the insurance companies.
Yeah. Hey, Seamus, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, not Seamus talk.
I just saw you came off mute there. What's going on? How you doing today?
Not too bad. I actually had a question for both of you guys. Nice to meet you, Cyber Ninja. Cyber Ninja, have you ever listened to a guy named Richard Wolff?
No, I haven't.
Do you know who he is?
No, who's Richard Wolff?
He's a Marxian economist. He's spent 50 years, teaching economics courses. He has PhDs from Harvard and Stanford and the like. But he is sort of an advocate for Marxist Marxian economics as a remedy for capitalism, and some of his proposals include like worker co-ops and taxing intangible wealth the same way you tax tangible wealth. For example, if you buy a house, and let's just say, for example, the house costs $100,000, well, obviously you owe property taxes to where that house is located. Now, if you decide not to buy the house and instead buy $100,000 in stock, you own the same amount of wealth, but in a form that's not subject to tax. Stocks, bonds, and cash, I guess you would call them non-tangible wealth because they're not taxed. How would you feel about taxing intangible wealth?
Like wealth that's not tied into stocks, or like
wealth that is tied into stocks.
I think. Well, I don't know how you'd go about it. I mean, because there's going to be a certain point where if you tax it too much, it's going to affect the shareholder in the company.
Right.
Which that'll drive the price down. But if it's taxed too little, it's just going to keep leading to what we're doing right now.
Right.
Like, and I don't know where that magic number is, or.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd have to look more into it.
Right.
That's the trouble I have with a lot of this. It's like, who gets to decide what those magic numbers are? Because it's like a sliding scale that will always move. Like when Biden first was running against Trump, he was saying anyone that makes under 200,000, don't worry, your taxes aren't going to go up. And people started freaking out because, like a lot of couples, they work and stuff, and that puts them in that over 200,000 bucket. And it's like, the panic and, freak out people had. He's like, oh, okay, well, I mean 400,000. That's actually what I meant. Like that's what defines rich. And so it's like, it doesn't take much to lower the bar on some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we just got to keep adjusting the scale until we get it closer to the right number.
Yeah, and for me, it's
but
like
we have to hold the CEOs accountable for. I mean, we have to put some type of caps, because like the tax on tips that Trump wants to do, he doesn't have a set limit for that, like Kamala did. Like we could literally see CEOs setting tip jars on their desk under Trump's no tax for tips. Like that, because since there's no cap on the amount of money you make, like it could just be a way for them to say, okay, we're not making as much in salary, but here's our tips.
That's interesting. Like it makes me think, like, so all the social media people that like get gifts and stuff, are those actually tips? Can you consider those tips? And then they're all like not taxable at that point?
Yeah, that's very interesting, but that seems like kind of a hyperbolic example.
Yeah. Just humorous to me, just thinking of it that way.
I think it would be considered a tip.
But anyway.
Man, I got to hop off here. I'm going to walk my dog, but it was good to see you.
Hey, take care, Cyber Ninja.
Yep.
Seamus, what is going on today?
Oh, living the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Hey, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, hit me up on Telegram sometime. If you got Telegram, I have the same handle, just for comms outside of the system that are not monitored. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, so what were you about to say?
That was like a very interesting example he brought up. Like, I don't think it's unwise to worry about like oversight, like if like no taxing on tips, giving CEOs the legal latitude, I guess, to in his example put tip jars on their desk. But again, that just seems like not that I summarily disagree with him, but that just seems like a really hyperbolic example. Like, I guess it would be a question of oversight, how you would prevent such a thing from occurring, but I'm not quite sure where he was going with that.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with a lot of the stuff. I get that CEOs' salaries have gone up tremendously in comparison to, workers at the companies and stuff. I have a hard time kind of putting caps or putting punitive policies in place because they need to be held accountable. Or that being the comment. Typically, they need to be held accountable. And it's like, but this is the system that the government's put in place for them, and they're operating within it. You know what I mean? So it's like, let's change the system. Let's change, whatever. If they really wanted to say no more stock buybacks, okay, that's one thing. Right? That's a move they can make because a lot of times companies will issue more stock, right? And they give that out as part of benefits to the board and to the employees, smaller degree than what the board and the executive group get. But then they buy the stock back to boost up the price of those shares they just handed out and so forth, right? I know that's a pessimistic view on things, but like there's things that I don't know the answer to, but I'd rather change behaviors and adjust the system than taking punitive action over certain groups of folks. Kind of like the 25% unrealized gains tax that, again, I feel like that's more punitive than it is anything else.
Well, I'm not too well versed on it. Give me an example
Of the 25% one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got, got a stock that I bought was $100 per share, and I got one share. Okay, this is only for people that are super high income though, but I'm keeping the math simple for my sake. So my $100 stock goes to 200, right? But I haven't sold it yet, and the year ends. On my next year's taxes, I still owe. I'm going to owe $25 because my profit that I haven't realized quite yet is standing at $100 at the end of that year. So I owe $25 in taxes on that profit that I haven't technically made yet because I haven't sold the stock.
Right.
So that's
so it wouldn't make sense to pay taxes on income that you haven't physically reaped the rewards of. That sorry for the layman's terms, but is that just
no? That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Like once it's cash in hand, okay. Otherwise, it's still something that's at risk, right? What if somebody had $100 million invested in something, and it went to 200 million, and so they owe 25 million, and then oops, that company was actually a fraud. Stock went to zero, but they're still stuck with. I mean, I know that's an extreme example, but it's just I don't think that there's a lot of value in doing that because what is the behavior that you're trying to encourage or discourage with that? Or if you are just trying to generate revenue, am I confident with what you want to do with that revenue? I don't know. It just, it's one of those difficult ones for me to.
25 million example would definitely generate extra tax revenue. Not that it's not that that's a good thing, but
yeah, it would. It would. Hey, let me bring up somebody else here. The Mix.
Okey-dokey.
Hey, Mix, what's going on?
Ooh, are you single? Because the actual people.
I'm hoping that was a recording and that's not how somebody rolls day to day. But anyway.
Man, I got my hopes up and everything.
Lord have mercy. Oh, wow. Comrade Cosmonaut says, oh, hey, what's going on? Comrade Cosmonaut says, change the system to what? Socialism, do stockholders contribute to profit of others' labors? Censored. Yeah, Mix, I took you off the live because I don't know where you're going with that. It sounded like some trolling going on there. So, yeah, unfortunately, I had to take you off there. I wasn't sure what was going to follow with that. I've had some instances where folks have started saying some crazy stuff. So I try to be quick about it now as best as I can. So I wouldn't say censor, more like he got kicked.
Yeah. Host, how do you feel about universal basic income?
current state with the way the world is, I don't like that idea.
Right.
For like a variety of things. The thing that I start to shift is that 2040, 2050 timeframe that Elon and some other folks are predicting, that between AI and robotics will have become so sophisticated.
Yeah, all the jobs will be automated away.
There'd be such massive displacement. What do you do at that point? Like, everyone's not going to just sit here on being an influencer. I guess at that point you can automate your influencers too. I don't know. What does that mean at that point? I don't have a good answer for that, and so I can see why some people are at that point talking about that universal basic income, but it's to me a little sad because I think there is human nature to want to work hard and compete, and do good. What happens to that aspect of life? I don't know. Because then even at that point, just the AI and stuff, is that who innovates? It figures out new things. It figures out how to make itself smarter at that point. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tricky. I don't think like having like a social safety net or a UBI, I don't think it inherently eliminates the desire to want to work hard and produce. To the example you mentioned, I think it's just a matter of securing people who inevitably, God forbid, will be displaced by the very grim
Skynet, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people will still have those drives, but I don't know what the outlet would be at that point. I don't know what to do.
Comrade, that's what I said. I said having a social safety net will not remove the desire for people to want to work. Like it's possible for both things to be true at the same time. Like I'm agreeing with you, comrade.
Oh, the mix says bye, dumpies. Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
Oh, well.
That's okay. Do I believe in free market? I'd like to. I do acknowledge there's inefficiencies and there's imperfections to it, and I just don't know of a better way of doing things that has, a record of, producing a good level of benefit.
Yeah.
Long term, right? Because there's been things that have been short lived, right? The USSR was rather short lived, if you think of the grand scheme of things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't think of a better way. Free market would be the detriment of society. So, it's been this way in the U.S. for its entire existence, for the most part. I know there's been things that have driven growth where, they were they were handing out land left and right. And I know that gets into a lot of other complexities that people talk about, but I don't know. What is a free market? Oh, go ahead.
Question,
James.
comrade, of what's a free market? So, and this is just me. What I'm about to say is in no way reflective of Political Cow LLC. It's just me. So think of healthcare, for example. In my personal estimation, you don't or you shouldn't treat healthcare the same way you treat an iPhone or an Xbox. Because I remember when the Democrats had that loaded primary field in 2020, and everyone was trying to get to the Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren left on healthcare and Medicare for all. Andrew Yang, for example, and of course his UBI was the centerpiece of his campaign. His healthcare proposal was that he and again, for an outsider running in a Democratic primary, he gave the most politician answer I've ever heard. He said, well, I believe in the spirit of Medicare for all, and I think the people should have co-pays and deductibles just so they can have, and these are his words, a little skin in the game. And it's like...
Bernie said that?
No, Andrew Yang said that.
Andrew Yang said that, okay.
Andrew Yang.
Okay, gotcha.
And so that was like, for me at least, that was a real head scratcher, because I was like, again, healthcare, in my estimation, and a lot of people's estimation, is not a commodity. Like maybe you, I don't mean you, like someone could argue that it is, but I don't believe it is like a commodity. So, people's concern is not having skin in the game. It's just getting adequate patient care that they need.
He just read something. Yeah, he kind of understood the implied meaning behind it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I really think you could take what I pay into my insurance every month, what my company pays into it, do that for like everybody that has health insurance that you're paying into it. Just take that amount, and you could probably make a lot of things happen and reduce cost, and everybody will be provided for in a much better way. I haven't done the calculation on it. I have no idea what that is, but it just because it is such a huge, amount.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's a lot that I pay into every month, but it's like it's necessary. Like, what are you going to do, right?
Right.
Like, you kind of have to do it. But if that actually was just, like, okay, another 1%, I'm willing to try that.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't claim to have the ideal answer that'll get us.
Hey, sorry, I got to mute for a second. Got to get my dog out of a little argument he's having. Hang on. If somebody comes up, you can bring him up, man.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, comrade, I do agree with you. Just to be clear, and yeah, it's like I said, tricky. Like, I myself am not pretending to have like the idealistic pathway to a socialist utopia or universal healthcare. I don't pretend to have the clear-cut pathway to that goal with all the semantic details in between, but it certainly stands to reason that, both Trump and Biden pulled how many trillions of dollars out of their asses during COVID for all those massive spending bills. I think it stands to reason that if we could afford that, we can afford almost $1 trillion annually on defense. Like, there's no reason why we can't. Every other country does it. Every other country spends half per capita what we do. They have better outcomes and cover everyone. And again, I'm not putting a pew to the host's head and demanding he agree with me, because he probably doesn't, and that's okay. But like, something has to give. Like, it's my personal belief that healthcare as a for-profit business model is immoral. Like, when you are drowning and they insist that you pay before they will save you, that is immoral. But
I'm back.
I guess with the way our system is, for whatever reason, but I guess we will. Again, as long as people keep voting for Democrats and keep tolerating a fraction of what they deserve, nothing will ever meaningfully get done.
Yeah, that's the tough part. There's no third alternative. In terms of being an agitator, Trump had presented the biggest opportunity for that, and he did agitate. But what's long term? Who's going to kind of help move some of those things along the way? I don't know what that is. I just keep looking at things from a short term perspective right now, right? Mm-hmm. And I am kind of aligned on your idea of I can't even bring myself to say it, but nationalizing healthcare, that might be something that makes sense. I don't know all the numbers behind it. It's more
I wish
based
we
off
could
of a
run a
feeling.
simulator to see how it would pan out.
Yeah. I'm going to have to call it quits here. I may be back online a little bit later, but I got to take my daughter to the gym here. I promised her earlier.
Oh, nice.
We're coming up on time here. So I appreciate everyone that came aboard. I got to figure out at some point, because like I jumped to like close to 300 and I stuck in the 200s for a little while. And then I floated around, 50, 60s, and then starts to like dive off after a little bit. And I don't know why. It wasn't unrelated to you joining too, because I know you said that too. Like, I don't know what it means. It's not. It's just like you went through a weird cycle. I got to figure out what the deal is with that.
Yeah, they need to construct better algorithms. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, comrade. You have a good night. Appreciate you jumping in. And you know what, comrade? I do listen to Communist Lives from time to time because, I don't know, I find it interesting, the perspectives that they offer. But anyway, hey, I appreciate it, y'all.